and stuff.
Hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Hey, David. Good morning, sir, or good afternoon. And Daryl. Hey, how you doing, bud? All right. The great Cheryl Woodard is here. Great Fred Cooper. All right.
All right.
How you guys doing?
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for coming, Fred. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I always appreciate these events and try to make them when I can.
Awesome, awesome. David, we can't hear you, just in case, so you might be on mute or *6.
Hey, Sherman, how are you guys doing?
Hey, there he is. All right. Jackie Edwards. Hey, Jackie. Oh, she was there for a second, and then she left. We'll start in about 4 minutes after the hour. We'll get a whole bunch of people start coming in here in just a second.
All right, we have video. I love it. Video always makes it more interesting, right? When everybody can get on camera.
Right.
You know, it was interesting. I was talking to some leadership over at Microsoft, and I posted this question to them. I said, hey, can you tell me one thing? And they're like, what is it? I said, well, you guys have the teams and video, and everyone's doing video, but whenever your executives are on any call, they never turn video on. Never. Like, never. You know, like, so what's going on here? Like, come on, you know. Great. So we got some more people that came in here. Eric. Hey, Eric. How you doing, bud? Thanks for coming.
Yes, hi. Once again.
Once again. All right.
So I don't have a camera, so I must be some sort of executive.
All right. Julius is here. Julius, good to see you, brother. It's been a while.
Yeah, no, I missed the last one, but I was there a couple times, a couple sessions ago. Good to see you too, Sherman.
Yeah. Always love that. Okay, so we're just, and we'll start here in about just a few more minutes. I'm gonna let people come in here. All right.
Hey, Andrea's back. Hey, how you doing?
Andrea. All right.
Hi. Hi.
Hey.
I enjoyed it so much the last time, but I'm not going to be able to undo the camera today, unfortunately.
It's okay. It's all right.
I don't know about you guys, but my days run into like working on the PC until 2 a.m. and then a webinar at 7 a.m.
Wow. You know, yeah. So we work with partners all over the country, so we end up doing presentations at 7, right? And then we got to get in here at 6:30, and then it's all day. So we totally get that.
Yeah.
All right. We'll start here in just about 2 more minutes, okay? We always do it 4 minutes after. All right. Todd Schulteis. Todd, how you doing, brother?
Hey, Sherman.
Good to see
hear your
you again,
voice.
man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, this will.
Sherman's really excited, you guys. We have a new video today that he wants to share.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, today's going to be good. They got a brand new video. It's going to be awesome. All right, so we're recording this out. We're going to have a few more people coming in here. All right, so just one more minute. Alex Artiaga, thanks for coming. Chris
My
Wing.
pleasure. Good to be here again.
This is awesome. This is great. All right, and Ramon is there too. Thank you very much. All right, so let's just one more minute. Okay. All right, 11:04. Let's get this going. Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, this is Sherman Crancer, president of the Crancer Group, and just want to say thank you so much for joining the voice of the Microsoft Partner Call. Today, we've got a great afternoon. We have a great speaker today that's going to bring us a wealth of knowledge that I think you'll be able to take back with you, as you're, looking at your business. We're going to, have some thought-provoking questions, and, a couple things, just some housekeeping items. We will record this. We will put this on. We'll have this available for everybody if they want to take a look at it. Second thing, just want to say real quick, we're actually going to be switching platforms, which is really cool. We'll keep this ability to come here, but we're actually going to go LinkedIn Live starting in 2 weeks. We're actually going to be able to do that through LinkedIn. We actually have a new back-end program. We're going to be upping the production value by about 200%, which is going to be so cool. And we'll be doing all over LinkedIn Live. So I just want to make sure that you understand that. You'll always be able to access either via LinkedIn, also via YouTube. We're going to be doing YouTube Live. And then also streaming through Microsoft Stream. So we'll have a lot of different ways to actually access this. We do want to keep the core people that we have here coming to this Teams meeting because, once again, we like to keep this interactive. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to actually ask questions inside of here as well as network, because at the end of the hour, we're going to have about 15 to 20 minutes. Stick around. This is a good way to network with other people that are in your industry and actually to talk with them. So that being said, let's go ahead and get this started with our new video that we're coming with. I think you'll like it. Oops.
Got a woman in White Plains on the hook. 5 units, Mountain View. What happened? She has to check with a lawyer.
Let her check with a lawyer?
What do I do?
I don't know.
Sally.
Huh?
Who's the guy?
Couldn't tell you.
I don't like the whole thing, because all I need is a lead. They won't give out.
The rich get richer. That's the law of the land. Who belongs to the BM?
It is 7:30.
So who is that?
And where's Mr. Roma?
Well, I'm not a leash, so I don't know, do I?
Let me have your attention for a moment.
Are they all here?
All but one.
Well, I'm going anyway.
Let's talk about something important. Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. Downtown. I'm here from Mitch and Murray. And I'm here on a mission of mercy. Your name's Levine?
Yeah.
You call yourself a salesman, you son of a bitch?
I don't gotta listen to this shit.
You certainly don't, pal. Because the good news is you're fired. You've got just 1 week to regain your job, starting with tonight. Starting with tonight's sit.
Oh, have I got your attention now?
Good. Because we're adding a little something to this month's sales contest. As you all know, first prize is a Cadillac Eldorado. Anybody want to see second prize? Second prize is a set of steak knives. Third prize is you're fired. A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing. A, B, C. Always be closing. AIDA. Attention, interest, decision, action. Attention. Do I have your attention? Interest. Are you interested? I know you are. Or walk. You close or you hit the bricks. Decision. Have you made your decision for Christ? Action. AIDA. Get out there. You got the prospects coming in. You think they came in to get out of the rain? A guy don't walk on the lot lest he wants to buy. Sitting out there waiting to give you their money. Are you gonna take it?
Sherman, you are muted, my friend.
$5.
That's $5. You can hear me now. I owe the team. I probably should give it to everybody here on the call. Anyways, that's that's our thing today. So our theme today is really kind of to a degree, always.
Sherman, we can't hear you again. Okay. I'm not sure if anybody else was lagging. I'm assuming it's just his internet. I think, what he was trying to get to everybody today is, the theme is you got to be creative. You got to keep, continually switching things. We do this for fun, right? Because we're just here inside the community, and it's always a good time just to share some laughs with everyone today. But, more than anything, I think it points out a good idea in the marketplace. You got to be different. You got to be unique, and you got to really show that to your customers. So I'm going to pass it back to Sherman, assuming he's back on. Okay, so let's go ahead and move into the next piece. Sherman, can you get the PowerPoint moving? Okay, cool. I think he's going to have to restart his computer, you guys, but I wanted to go ahead and introduce today's speaker for the session today. Karl, if you could come on camera and just say hello to everybody. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Karl Hoenecke here with us today. So I'd love, Karl, if you could just do a quick little introduction for yourself, just to introduce yourself to the group.
Sure, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the introduction. I don't know if I'm mythological or if I'm a legend, but I am a man. I did check that before I got on today. So, yeah, just real quick about me. I'm the Vice President of Business Development here at TeamLogic IT. We're a franchise network of managed service partners, and I've been in with TeamLogic IT for a little over 2 years. Been in and out of the IT business for the better part of my career, which has been spent almost exclusively in franchising of one type or another. So I'm real happy to be here. I appreciate you inviting me.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you here, Karl. I'm very interested in here. Let me see if I can share my screen so that everybody could just see the nice profile picture we got here for Karl. So take a look. We're supposed to share the screen. But, the main thing I just wanted to get into, and we're going to get here into the agenda just so everybody has an idea of what we wanted to cover today. We have Karl here today. We always have a Did You Know section where we talk about some interesting things going on in Microsoft, might give you some ideas of things that are going on in the industry. We have some questions in terms of discovery, business development, and the industry's future as well. So I don't think Sherman's going to have to be on here for the Did You Know, so I'll go ahead and I'll handle this. Let me just quickly go ahead and make this a slideshow so you guys can see this. Current slide. Can you see that, Karl?
It's not come up yet. It's coming up now.
There we go. Okay. So we wanted to keep this really simple for everyone today. And we just wanted to bring back the topic of co-op. A lot of people, I know it's for a lot of people, it's something that we've mentioned previously. However, at the timing of where we currently stand today when it comes to what's going on in the year, I just think it's something that is valuable for us to bring up and continue to remind all the partners here in the community. So in case you didn't know, I'm just going to quickly run through it again one more time. In terms of back-end incentives, typically Microsoft would give you 100% back and it would all come into your pocket. However, we've reached a point where they're only going to be giving you 60% and 40% is going to come into your pocket in what's called co-op funds. Okay, so those co-op funds can be used for a lot of different activities. I'm happy to share a document that explains all those different tools and investments that you can make. Very high-level explanation in terms of what you're able to spend money on. And number one, any kind of digital advertising that has to do with Microsoft, as well as print advertising that has to do with Microsoft. They also let you invest in some other things that are meant primarily for marketing events. It could be marketing specific products that you're trying to put into the marketplace. It could also be some other things that have to do with ways to invest in your relationship with Microsoft. And then lastly, some other things that you could also spend money on as well have to do primarily with if you want to spend money on getting certifications or getting money, spending money on attending something such as Microsoft Inspire. The only thing that I will mention as well is something that I thought was very interesting, a cool service that they recently rolled out called migration services. I think that especially as an MSP, focusing on moving your customers to the cloud should be of utmost concern. And so this is a cool little program they actually rolled out into co-op, which talks about Specifically, the fees that are associated with moving customers to the cloud, such as engineering costs of the time that they dedicate to that, you can actually go ahead and write that off and get that back to co-op. So again, there's a lot of different things that you want to think about. I'm happy to send a document that explains all those different programs to everyone later after the session today. But more than anything, I encourage you to take a look, see how much you have available, and make sure you don't let that money to go to waste. Because on January 1st, you're going to wake up and you might have let all that money go to waste. So don't let that be you. Make sure you look into that and take care of business there. So
thank you, Andres.
Today.
I appreciate that. Thanks for putting me into that. Yeah, let me just explain a couple more things on side of that. Co-op is something like last year, if you had $100,000 in rebates, okay, you got $100,000 back, right? This year, if you get $100,000 in rebates, you only get $60,000 in cash like you did last time, and the other $40,000 is for co-op that you can get the money back from. And as Andres was saying, you have the print and media advertising. There's a lot of rules to that. You have business building services, and then going to get certifications on those different things. Certifications, you can pay for that, and attending events, which, we know that there's no attending any events right now. But it's a use it or lose it. And the way to find out is very simple. You basically go to your partner portal, you go to incentives, you click on overview. And when you click on overview, you're going to see a pie, okay, a pie of funds. And you look for what's called, what was it, unused? No, what's the name of it?
Yeah, it's, oh man, I can't remember.
Unprocessed.
It's, unprocessed, yeah, there it is.
Anything that says unprocessed, that's the money you can spend, but you have to do it quickly. Otherwise, it's going to be gone. It's unfortunate that, there isn't a little bit more push by Microsoft to help push this out, but that's what we're here for, to help you understand that. All right, so let's get moving into here. That was really the did you know portion of it, money, co-op. Let's go ahead and get into our first section here. We'll start discovery section. Okay. And we're going to get into our first set of questions here. We're going to highlight these first. So first, we're going to be asking Karl, how did he get started? Franchisees, and then a number one challenge when it comes to working with Microsoft. So Karl, if you wouldn't mind, let's get started here. How did you get started in the IT business? How help the community understand?
Yeah, so I kind of took a circuitous route, if you will. I'm not a techie guy myself. I was a history major in college. I went to work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, like me and half my classmates. And just went straight from, hanging out and partying with my friends to hanging out and partying with my friends at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. But decided that wasn't going to be my long-term career choice. And I entered an ad that I was to the ad, and I'm going to date myself here. It was in the paper. Actually, it was a newspaper ad, and I answered it. Because it said I was going to get the opportunity to travel, and I thought that sounded really cool. I was young and single at the time, and I didn't realize that travel meant I'm going to travel to Iowa and Kansas and other places like that. So the travel was primarily in the United States. My dreams of going all over Europe and all over South America were shattered, but it did get me into IT. It got me into IT training, and with New Horizons Computer Learning Centers, which was, by the way, also a franchise organization like the one I work for now. So I spent 8 years there learning how to spell MCSE and how to and all the things around the critical certifications and tools and so forth that we trained on. That were, and as everyone on this call really well knows, that was really when Microsoft was coming into its domination. Lotus 1-2-3 was going away, all the other, and Microsoft Office was becoming the dominant used in every business across the United States, across the world, pretty much.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then when it comes to the working with Team Logic, maybe kind of give us some background on that.
Yeah. So Team Logic IT was started about 15 years ago, and through a connection I made when I was at New Horizons, one of the folks I worked with there actually started Team Logic IT, and it started as I think many MSPs at the time were doing. It was a break fix operation. bringing in revenue on time and material type billing, only really getting paid if something went wrong at the customer's site. So we as an organization made a decision several years ago, about a decade ago, that was not going to be our long-term strategy. It wasn't how we were really going to be able to be profitable over the long haul, just exchanging money for effort. So we made the conscious decision as a group to transition our business model to more of what we would consider the traditional managed service model today. So looking for that recurring revenue that we're getting on a monthly basis from our clients for the services that are offered, that flat fee service. And it really did two things for us as an organization. For TeamLogic IT, our franchise owners started growing their revenues year over year at a faster pace. Of course, looking back on it now, it's kind of self-explanatory as to why that would be. But at the time, it was a big change for us, big positive change for us. It also we benefited from that, and also the growth of the space in general, whereby we were now attracting more franchisees that wanted to become MSPs. And the interesting thing here was that we were attracting not just people who were techies, but people who saw this as a great business opportunity. But what it allowed us to do as an organization is it had a flywheel effect on our growth. And we saw our growth explode both on our existing businesses, them growing year over year at a faster pace, but then also our network of owners was growing, and we've doubled just about every 3.5 years over the past 6-7 years.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I love the fact, that's the reason why I think you're such a great candidate to have on this call today, is because you have this real, kind of high level, view of all types of businesses that are, not businesses, but franchises, some of the small ones, some of the big ones. And so with that being said, let's get into the next one, which is, how are your franchisees investing in their transition to becoming a cloud-focused partners? And I think you had a quote last night that I love to hear, that you had one, please help us talk about that, right? And then tell us what your thoughts are on the transition.
Now I'm going to forget the quote, and I'm going to embarrass you. I apologize. But, the way that our franchisees are really looking at cloud as an opportunity, and it's for a while, but of course the pandemic has accelerated that in the small business space. So we're really doing two things. The biggest thing is education for our franchise owners on how to present and sell cloud solutions, but also educating the customer, because the customer is suffering from not understanding or not having a full understanding of what it really means to go to the cloud. I heard, this isn't the one that we discussed, but I did hear a statistic quoted on a recent webinar that we hosted, where something like, and I'll get this number wrong, but I know I'm in the ballpark, something like 83% of the American public believes that the weather impacts the performance of cloud applications. And just let that sink in for a second.
Yeah.
So there's still a tremendous amount of education that needs to take place out there. People are using cloud applications without them even realizing it. And so our big challenge is, and of course, one of our franchisees, one of our top offices, I was on a call with them recently. We had about 10 owners on a call, on a town hall call. And he says, look, at the end of the day, guys, you can talk about all the different solutions, but we live in a Microsoft world. I am all in on Azure. And that was his strategy. And there's a reason why he's one of our top producing offices. And that's the hill that we got to climb.
And I love that. I love what they're talking about. I mean, it is. We live in a Microsoft world. 96% of all businesses have Microsoft Office. And I think, I don't know what the latest thing was, but like 56 of them have migrated, 56% have migrated to the Office 365. Maybe it's a lot more now because of just what happened. But that was a statistic I knew about it about 8 months ago. So maybe that's more. Now, I also want to make sure that we have interactivity here. So if you want to ask Karl any specific question, please put it into the chat window so we can help do that. All right. Next one is, what is your number one challenge when it comes to working with Microsoft, or would you say franchisees? What do you keep hearing?
Yeah, this is actually a pretty easy one. It's them understanding the licensing and understanding in particular how to take advantage of the partner program and everything that's available. Kind of what you guys opened with is a great example. I don't think your average, at least our average owner, is tuned into that as well as they need to be.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, licensing and programs. I mean, there's this one new program that came out, this new incentive that has to do with nonprofits. It's a 15% increase if you actually upgrade or bring in net new nonprofit SKUs. And a lot of people don't know about that. And gosh, Microsoft also sends so many emails, like, well, which email is the one email that I need to make sure I understand that I need to get to? So
no doubt, cutting through the chatter is I think every small business owner's challenge, right?
Yeah. Very cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our next session here. Business development. And our next set of questions. And this is really good, actually. I really like this one. And I know that we do this. When asked for guidance on investing in marketing or sales, what do you say?
Sherman, real quick, I think Andrea's got a question. Maybe clarify on the model, Karl, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, please. Karl, would you mind just talking a little bit about the model and what Team Logic and the business model that the people are coming into?
Oh yeah, sure. So Team Logic IT is a franchisor of MSPs for an easy explanation. So we're headquartered in Southern California, which is where the office that I work out of. So I work for the franchisor, and we support everything that we do is in support of our franchise owners. Our franchise owners are running their own MSPs, but using our methodology, our intellectual property, of course, our name, our logo, and all of that. And then we support them in that. So we run, all the vendor programs for them, marketing for them. We have business management consultants that are talking to them proactively very often on a weekly or monthly basis. We have internal groups that we get them involved with that are very similar to some of the peer groups that you'd see out in the general business. So we live for providing support to our franchises, and so we have about 200 offices. We're going to end the year at about 225 offices across the U.S. That are run. Some owners own multiple offices, so they're run by about 180 owners.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps.
Oh, no problem. Okay. Oh, yeah. So Andre just said, I don't understand the licensing piece. Yeah. Well, licensing is always changing at Microsoft. It always is, right? And you went from Office 365 to M365, and gosh, why did they should have just put Office 365 security or something like that, right? So and now it's changed, but then the changes in the actual SKUs, it comes up. It is always difficult to navigate. And I think that is the number one challenge, I think, is figuring that out, and always keeping on top of it. It's just I always tell people when I was a PDM at Microsoft, I used to tell people that the partner portal or the partner.microsoft.com, Microsoft would say, hey, here's a salmon, and it's got 3 dots next to the table, right? And or next to the tail. And then hold on a second, we're going to throw it in the ocean, and we need you to go find the salmon with 3 dots. Don't bring us the regular salmon or another salmon. You got to go find that. And it's always just so difficult to do. You really got to keep on top of it. But good question, Andrea. Thank you so much for that. All right, so let's kind of get into this another one. I think this is good because I'm sure a lot of franchisees ask you the same question. What should I do? Should I invest in marketing or sales? first, when I'm trying to help build my business up. And what would you say?
Yes, absolutely. We coach to do both, and in this way, you really can never turn off your marketing. You should have a comprehensive, what we call like an omni-channel or integrated marketing program that is hitting on all opportunities to get you in front of both current customers and prospects, and build that mailing list and that you need. And that's where the sales comes in. So then the second part of it is you always need to be individually out there doing the work. So we always say you got to have the marketing program turned on and executed and running all the time. But you need to have someone that's spending some time managing that. And then you also need to have someone that's full-time dedicated to sales, that's out in your community and meeting people and having those face-to-face meetings, whether it's with prospects, clients, or other networking partners that can refer you to prospects or clients. Obviously, COVID has made that an interesting challenge, but we've seen that people have gotten very creative. They've gotten used to having meetings just like this, where it's become normalized really in our current situation. So the answer is both. You've got to do both, and you can never let up on the marketing.
Thank you for saying that. That's what we keep talking about just so much. And I'd also kind of just add a little bit on that. When you're bringing in net new salespeople, okay, I think one of the problems in our industry is we give them too much, just be frank here, too long of runway. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing salespeople coming in and they haven't sold anything in a year. And in my mind, it drives me absolutely nuts, right? Just absolutely crazy, because I'm thinking to myself, no, you need to have like a 3-month runway. Like if you're not doing deals or bringing stuff in, I mean, you've got to. So if you go that sales route, you need to have a very defined sales plan, sales compensation plan. You need to have it defined where it actually incentivizes them, and like really incentivize them. You want to give them enough to eat, right? Enough to be able to pay the bills, but incentivize them. That's what sales is all about. It's incentive. It's an incentive-based type of a career, right? And so when you end up, bringing in salespeople for that $160,000, $120,000, you have to start asking yourself the question, how hungry is that person going to be? So you got to be a little careful with that. So you got to make sure that you do that. Hey, Eric, so we have the great Eric Van Bibber on, and I didn't mispronounce your name. Eric, you have a question for Karl. Why don't I have you actually ask it?
Yeah, great. Nice to meet you, Karl. So as a franchisee, what kind of leeway, what kind of flexibility do you have into forming your own partnerships and relationships with, either local companies or even outside of that? Because you probably have different rules than if it was your own business, right?
So yes and no. I'll have to be a little bit careful that I don't go into too much detail, and I get myself in some trouble with the Federal Trade Commission. But that having been said, we are what you would consider to call it a soft franchise. So if you look at a McDonald's as an example, they're going to tell you who to get the fries from, who to get the hamburger meat from, right, the buns, and so on and so forth, right? They're going to tell you what uniforms your people need to wear, hours of operation. They're going to dictate pretty much everything to you. We are on the opposite end of the spectrum. So what our approach is, we're going to put programs in place to support what you're doing, and then it's going to be up to you to make decisions on what you just described, the relationships you're gonna forge in your local community and so forth. And then we're here to advise, coach, and support and so forth. So hopefully that answers your question well enough. I got to be a little bit careful. I can't talk too much detail.
No, I think that's fine. I'm just imagining you're in the franchisee position, and I don't know, there's a complementary organization that would help you do or win business.
Yeah.
Are you able to just form that relationship with your franchise, or do you have to run it back up the chain and go, hey, are we allowed to do this? Or
yeah, so there's no restrictions on. There's a couple of exceptions, but they would make sense if I had the opportunity to explain it to you. But there's no restrictions on who you work with.
It's cool.
If there's somebody that where you wanted to create a program with that our whole network would benefit, that's what my department does. We work on those relationships. So what we try to do is we try to spend that time doing that due diligence so you don't have to.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I know a little bit about the franchising world, and I know there's some rules kind of up and down. And,
we're
know how to
we're
apply.
definitely on that one end of the spectrum where we're I don't want to say we're loose, but we're much more permissive than your typical franchise.
Right. Independent, more the franchisee is more independent. Yep.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
All right. I just made a really cool announcement. Check the chat window if anybody wants to see. We're going to be raffling off a $100 gift card today. Just to one of the attendees, want to say thanks so much for joining and being part of this. We want to give back a little bit. All right, so let's talk a little bit about security, because you and I were talking yesterday, and we typically talk about security as for the customer, right? But we're not talking about security for MSPs. Karl, help us understand what are your thoughts on that, and how are you talking to your franchisee about security?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to just build on a thing you said earlier on the sales piece, just really, really quickly. I think there's tons of books out there that will teach you how to sell. There's and training programs and so forth. Very few that will teach you how to manage a sales person or how to manage a sales process. And I think that's what's missed all the time, is understanding how to actually stay on top of that. But to get to your point about security, we all hear about it. Cybersecurity is always in the headlines. It's the biggest thing that we hear, the recurring message that we hear for our franchisees. Our biggest talk track around that is that you have to have your own house in order before you can go and implement security for your clients or talk to your clients about security. The other thing too is obviously MSPs are a huge target because we have the keys to the kingdom for all of our clients. And that's probably the number one thing. If you were going to say what do you lose sleep over, even though it's not directly in my department, I still lose sleep over that more than anything else.
Well, thanks for that. I appreciate that. I think that's a message that we need to get out to everyone. I mean, we have to be securing our own systems. I mean, we actually had to do a pen test and do the SOC, I think it was a SOC 2 compliance. And it was like ridiculous the amount of money they wanted. I mean, they just ridiculous, right? Just stupid. But it really had us thinking, gosh, we need to really make sure we put up multi-factor authentication using Azure Active Directory, really tightening everything down, changing the passwords, all that stuff, right? Super, super important.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying, you mentioned compliance, and that's only going to become a bigger and bigger issue. We as an industry, I think we're going to talk a little bit about it later, but I mean, we're going to have to figure out how we address that because it's now being thrust on us.
Awesome. Hey, Andrea, you've asked a few questions. Let me let you ask that question so we don't misinterpret it. Andrea?
Oh, thank you. Hi, I'm Andrea LeBlanc. It's just that it looked like you, Karl, might have a thought process on who has a good book or methodology, even though very little has been written. Do you have a mentor that you look at for that, for the sales process, as opposed in managing someone, as opposed to just good sales?
So I think there's two good books that I one is the author's Mahan Khalsa, and it's called Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play. He was a technology sales person for a long time. His sales methodology actually got bought by Franklin Covey, or licensed by Franklin Covey, and I attended that training. And they do a dual training where they teach you the sales process and then how to manage the person trying to execute the process. So that was excellent. The other one is probably better known one, Spin Selling, by Neil Rackham. And he's the owner of the Huthwaite Group. Same thing. That's a really good one around solution selling and consultative selling. But I also went to their training as well. and they have a whole additional toolkit. And I'm sorry if they don't still have this, but it's been probably about 10 years. But they had a whole additional toolkit that you could purchase in addition to the book that helped you as a sales manager manage the person that you were asking to execute their sales system. So that was those are the two that I lean on the most. I mean, there's a bunch of other great ones, Selling the Invisible and so on and so forth, but those are the two that had companion content that helped you with actually managing the salesperson.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, we put the links. Andres was so good. He already put the links in the window. Go to Amazon.com, which I don't know if we should say Amazon too much on this call, but go to not Amazon Web Services. Okay, so let's get to the next one. Now, this is, I think, really good. Is, what are key business milestones that you look for when evaluating franchisees? I mean, I would love to hear that, because maybe we could all look at that and then look at our business a little bit kind of like that.
Yeah, so it's really looking for us at a couple different things. One, I mean, it's pretty obvious one or easy one is revenue. How much revenue on an annual basis, but more importantly, looking at their recurring revenue. How much recurring revenue are they doing? Because that's points to two things. One, you can budget to that so that you can start planning growth for the business based on that. The second one is it obviously increases the value of the business as well. But it's really difficult to make a hiring decision without understanding where you're at with your recurring revenue. So we look at that. We look at certain milestones. They're somewhat arbitrary because every business is a little bit different. But just like I think any other small business, when you get to that $1 million mark, when you get to that $2 million mark, the $5 million mark, and so forth. The other thing that we look at is some operational KPIs. So we're looking at at what point do they hit a certain number of endpoints managed, and then how are they staffed against that? So that points to operational maturity, and so we're looking for operational maturity milestones, and that also will help them understand where, and this is a recurring theme, as you can probably hear, where their next hire should come from, because you want to make sure, going back to your previous question, that you're always marketing, you're always selling. And then at some point, you also need to have a program around that's specific around account management and so on and so forth. So we look for, obviously, revenue is an important milestone, but then we also look at customers, average endpoints per customer. So, do you have a ton of small customers? Do you have a ton of, are you over committed in your total revenue to just a few customers? That's something that we're always concerned about as well. So when we look at those milestones, once you hit the $1 million mark, you can start doing other things with your business that you couldn't do when you were at 200, 400,000, something like that. When you're at the $3 million mark, scaling beyond that, scaling beyond 5 million, you're not going to do the same things that you were doing at 1 million. It's not a matter of just doing more of what you were doing before. You have to do things differently. So those are the big milestones that we look at.
Now, you and I were talking last night, and I think we were talking about protecting the business as opposed to getting the business.
Right.
And this is a little bit off the script here, but could you kind of, because the conversation for everybody here, we were talking about how we are now at our capacity, so we can no longer take any more clients. As a Crancer group, we're not taking any more. We have a waiting list now, which is good. Right, is good. We've done well. We've hit a nerve. We've produced, but the next step is now hiring 3 more people. Okay, so then I mentioned that to Karl, and we're like, well, the chicken and the egg. That's who you're always kind of wondering about, chicken and the egg. Do we need to get more people to support more sales, or do we need to tighten up the back end? Karl, you had a great response to that. Maybe you can just elaborate on that.
Well, yeah. So that was exactly, you alluded to it, the difference between going out and getting new business and then protecting the business that you have. And, that was sort of what I was alluding to. When you get to a certain point, I mean, you guys have the best problem that you could have. You have too many clients or too many people interested. That's the right problem to have. But if you only add if you only add people to handle businesses coming in, and you stop bringing in you always have to be bringing in new business. So, around our conversation from last night was, you have to have a certain part of your plan to protect the business that you have. And that was the account management that I was talking about earlier, where you get to a certain size. If you only hire salespeople are good at going out and hunting, and they kill what they eat, or they eat what they kill, I should say. So they go out and hunt for you, but they're not necessarily good account managers. So you need to now think about that. How do you manage the business that you have and protect it? I think, is that sort of what you were alluding to?
Exactly. And that's why I think, to a degree, in our industry, it's overweighted, where you end up having 80% engineering and support, maybe even 90%. All right. And then you're having 1 or 2 sales folks, and then maybe some marketing. And the joke always was, well, who does the marketing for MSPs? Well, it's the uncle or the daughter, right? And it's like, no, it shouldn't be. You'd actually need to have somebody who really knows what they're doing.
That's so true. And do you want to put account management? Your techs are great people. They're incredibly important, but they're not having the business conversations with your customers. You need somebody that's dedicated to that. At some point, that grows beyond the capability of the owner.
Derek made a good thing, efficient process. And what I like about Derek's comment actually here, that's one thing that we have been maniacally working on in the past 6 months, put in the CRM system. We now have, and because everything should be based on building your business at scale. Everything should be at scale. You should always be thinking scale. How do I double, triple, quadruple? But then also, how do I maintain my reputation, right? And what I'm doing. So processes are so important. So just for an example, like we put the CRM system in, and we have literally from A to, from point 1 to point 60, they have to go down a process. Every partner goes through this way. Then you go into marketing and go into the GTM stuff, but it has to be done so that, okay, now I'm at, 25 partners. Next year we could do 200, right? That's the thinking. Could I do it right now? No, because we haven't got all the processes completely down. But that is all that we're trying to make sure is process. And if you're not working on your processes, you're right, Derek, that can end up causing more problems. It could cause more expense because you think you're just throwing people at problems, but your processes aren't correct, right? So that's really good.
There's a famous quote, or somewhat famous quote on process, that, a bad process will beat a good person every time. That lack of process and being able and putting that into your business is gonna hurt you more than anything else.
Yeah.
Efficiency.
So Joe has a good comment. Joe, why don't you just go ahead and tell us, instead of typing it in, we'd like to hear from you.
Just fiddling with the mute button. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, good. So I assumed that everybody had learned this years ago when I learned it at a Microsoft Partner Conference. Essentially, when you get to a point where sales reps are still bringing in new customers and don't have time to take care of existing customers in that role of IT manager or director, you really need a technical account manager who essentially, used to be or currently is a former IT manager or director, because then they serve as that role for customers, and it's their job to maintain the business and grow the business and get referrals. And part of their compensation is commission. And that just allows your sales reps to focus on the new business.
Excellent thought. That was great. That was great. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate your feedback on that one. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our last section. Let's go ahead and do this. But before I do this, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do the raffle now. I have a quick thing I'm going to do with everybody here. And the winner today is Eric Van Bibber. Eric, thanks, brother, for coming, man. We're going to send you a $100 gift card. Just some of your details. We'll send it out to Amazon. Not
okay. Thanks.
Yeah. So, anyways, every week I think we're going to do this again every week. So, congratulations and thanks for being such a great partner and bringing in great insight for every one of these calls. All right, so let's go into this. When asked, this is a good one. I love this one. When asked to define what your franchisees do that is different than other MSPs, what do you say?
So, I think for us, our biggest differentiator is that we have local ownership. So our in each market, we have local owners that are running their business much like the customers that they're talking to. And they're supported by a nationwide network. So they're having business conversations with their clients. And we actually get this feedback from our customers, is that you speak business to me, you don't speak tech. Because your average small business owner is not technical, and I'm sure a lot of folks that are on this call today have do the same thing. So you may say, well, is that really that big of a differentiator? Our customers say it is, and when we get feedback from them, that's one of the biggest things that they say. The other thing that they say too, though, is that because we are part of a nationwide network, we have access, roughly 800 technicians. That all have different experiences in solving problems and so forth. So we're able internally to, if there's something that has occurred, we've probably seen it. Someone in our network has done it, they've dealt with it, and they're there to help support the local office in whatever they need to get done. So those seem to be the biggest things, having that local ownership that also is tied into this broad national network, so that they have the resources that if they were to start out on their own, they wouldn't have those resources. So it kind of gives them that legitimacy right away in the market, and then also the fact that they're business owners themselves, and we attract, as I was mentioning before, not necessarily technical people, but people who see this as a business opportunity. So they approach it from a business owner's perspective, and as everyone on this call probably knows and understands, that's not how our industry grew up. Our industry grew up as technicians who were good at what they do, and there's some technicians that become great business owners. So I don't want to come across as denigrating that at all. But I think as a network, our owners take a different approach.
And I think one of your biggest ones was that works with Brendan. I don't believe he was in IT before. Very interesting. Before he actually bought the franchise, and he's a monster franchisee for you. And I know Brendan very well. I can't say enough great things about their organization. Great. Well, let's get into the next one. So what are the best practices do you advise in order to stay up to date with the latest compliance standards across the industry?
It's a challenge. There's no doubt about it. I do think that, I'm probably going to give an answer that may be not revelatory to everybody that's on this call, but we have close ties with CompTIA, and they provide a lot of good information. We watch the vendors that we work with really closely, that are MSP centric. They give us a tremendous amount of information. They often are addressing those things before we know what's occurring, and they keep us in the loop on that. We have the opportunity to be, we're on CEO advisory boards and so forth. So we've got sometimes not inside information, but we get it a little bit ahead of other folks in the public. But that's what we do. We watch what CompTIA is doing. We watch what the vendors that play in those key areas, whether it's typically in the area of cybersecurity, what they're doing. And then as I'm sure, again, if you're tuned into this business, you're also watching all the political action networks and so forth they're managing. We just had the law passed in Louisiana not too long ago, that is now requiring that MSPs meet a certain standard for security before they can work with a government entity. That's a big deal. I think that is going to be, it's interesting. It came out of Louisiana. I mean, we know why, because they had a huge breach, but instead of New York or California. But these laws are only going to multiply, and the industry in general is going to be faced with either letting the government make the rules for us, or are we going to make the rules for us and ask governments to adopt them? That's
we have a personal personal thing that happened with us. Okay, so when we started working with Microsoft, so we do a CIE facilitator, the Azure. We do all the Azure trainings, or not all, but we do a lot. When we had to do that, we thought we complete our supplier form and we got in there and there's no problem. But they came back to us and said, no, we want the SOC 2 pen test. We want all this stuff because we need to make sure, are you a vendor? Do you take care of the personal identifiable information? They're very, Microsoft is very, like, whoa, wait a minute. But what really pinged me on this one was like, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, this is just the first vendor. It's going to come down. So if as an MSP or you're in the business right now and you don't have those compliance, I would do just a pen test just to start. I mean, because now you can have that little compliance thing. It's a smaller one, but you have to start budgeting for that. You got to get those. You're going to have to do those, even though it's ridiculous. Point in time or ongoing. One company quota is like $32,000. And I was like, we got 4 people here. How can it be $32,000? Give me a break. But anyways.
And I saw the question about whether or not the CMMC new requirements are impacted. We're seeing it. Exactly what you just described, Sherman. We're getting inquiries all the time. Like, I have a customer that now is being required to do pen testing and so forth. And it is, I think it's grown beyond just, am I working with the Department of Defense? Because there's so many tentacles out there that it extends to almost anybody now.
You're right, it does. Let's see. Well, we have about 4 minutes left. I want to do a couple things here. Remember, we are switching to the social or to LinkedIn Live next week. So please go to our Crancer Group webpage on LinkedIn and follow us there, because then all the announcements are going to be there and you can easily get in there. Make sure you keep on here. We're not going to get into the last question, because what I want to say actually is, Karl, thank you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time today. Karl's going to stick around. We do have we stop at 12 and we do have some networking. So if anybody wants to stay here and talk about what they do and how they do it, I'm happy to, we'll kind of go together. We do have, actually, one of my friends is actually on here for a long time ago. I want to give him an opportunity. Todd, I'm going to be calling on you, brother. Are you, can you unmute?
Yeah, I'm unmuted right now.
Awesome.
I'm a lot furrier than the last time you saw me, if you want me to go on video.
Well, I wanted to give you a chance and opportunity to kind of just tell the community what you're doing these days and how you help partners.
Absolutely. Super excited to be on this first call. I'm going to sign up for more because this has been highly educational for me. So for everyone to know, Sherman and I worked at Microsoft together in the SMB&D organization for about 5-6 years. And we interfaced with literally thousands and thousands of Microsoft partners over that time. And I think that was the starting point of Office 365 as being a really important SaaS application for MSPs in particular, but also being adopted more broadly by businesses of all sizes. So those were exciting times. I got caught up in a pretty massive reorg about 3 years ago. So Microsoft shifted things away, and that SMB&D org was dissolved, unfortunately, because I thought it was a really powerful way for Microsoft partners, especially MSPs, to engage with Microsoft. And I don't know how that's done today. What's replaced it, quite honestly. Me professionally, I'm excited to say that I work at Skykick right now. And what we do is, many of you might be aware of us, but we do email migrations to Office 365. We've been doing that for 8 years. We also do Office 365 cloud backup. Some of you may or may not know that Microsoft has a very short retention period of all of its workloads. They do not keep them forever. So backing up that data in Office 365 is absolutely critical. The third pillar that what we do now is called Cloud Manager, and I think this addresses some of the things that Karl mentioned around compliance and protecting customers' data inside an MSP. So what we're trying to do is to empower your frontline engineers with automations that are PowerShell commands. Those automations make it very, very easy for your tier 1 frontline engineers to close down tickets very, very quickly and effectively, and hopefully reducing the number of escalations to your more advanced PowerShell experts so that they can get on with more meaningful value-added projects. So this covers not only Microsoft 365, but Google Workspace and a whole array of other SaaS applications. We think this is going to be a really powerful way for MSPs to differentiate themselves in the marketplace, create new service offerings, protect their customers' data, but also have a lot more efficiencies internally so that they can be profitable as the age of cloud computing continues to evolve and expand. So how was that, Sherman?
That was perfect, Todd. That was great. It's like we rehearsed it. I didn't even know you were coming today, but that was like perfect.
I didn't intend on doing a pitch for Skykick, but you gave me the opportunity, so there you go.
No problem. Hey, there's another thing. We're going to be doing a package building workshop. Actually, Paul Solsky and we're trying to put this together. And if you want to attend, we're going to send out an email with a registration link. It's actually a workshop. So we'll help you with that to help go from the idea all the way through, and you walk away, I think, with some good stuff. So we'll send you the link to that. Also, I just want to say thank you so much, everybody, for coming today. Really do appreciate it. We're going to have it in 2 weeks again. And if you would please help us build this community by forwarding the actual invitation to your peers. We would sincerely appreciate that. We'll do. All right, so let's go to the networking piece. So thank you. Awesome. The networking piece. Let's make sure that everybody here on the networking piece of this call is actually going into our chat window. And please put in your name, your company, and what you specialize in, so we can make sure that if somebody needs you or talks to you, I'd also put in the state, whatever state you're in, that'll actually help. And then we can kind of talk to some other people here that we haven't heard from. Jackie Edwards, we haven't heard from you in a while. Do you mind maybe kind of just starting us out, saying your name, and who you are, and what you specialize in?
To unmute myself here quick. Hi, I'm Jackie Edwards. I'm with RMM Solutions, and we're obviously IT company. Just started out with Crancer Group, and very excited about launching our manufacturing focused program. So I'm excited to be here. Thanks.
Awesome. Now, and you're located, Jackie, just for everybody here?
I'm sorry about that. We are in Wausau, Wisconsin. We cover the whole state of Wisconsin.
Okay, partnering opportunity. Got something in Wisconsin. Now you know who to talk to. Okay, so and that's what we want to do here. We want to help each other out. So we had Todd, Joe. Since we have you here, let's just have you quickly once again introduce Zag.
Sure thing. I'm Joe Foose with Zag Technical Services. We're in Silicon Valley, California. We've been in business 22 years. We have almost 100 people. Everybody calls themselves an MSP. We tend to do things differently and call ourselves a total recovery managed security services provider, as in we find a way to include the cost of fully recovering a customer in the fixed fee so that the customer feels like we're guaranteeing that we will bring them back from any incident rather than having to charge them for that in the event of an incident.
Wonderful, wonderful. I like that. I like that. I really do. That's changing the way that you kind of approach it. And like, oh, wait a minute. That's your differentiator right there. Holy smokes.
Well, the thing to keep in mind is that most MSPs love the idea of preventing issues. But most customers assume that their existing IT vendor, person, contractor, whoever is already doing that. So it's very hard to convince a non-technical customer to evaluate and compare. They don't even know what questions to ask. So then they start thinking about, should I buy cyber insurance? And most cyber insurance policies don't actually cover the unlimited costs it might take to recover from ransomware. So they might buy a policy with 50K in coverage or 100K in coverage, but the poor customer has no idea how much coverage should I buy. And nobody really knows how much coverage they should buy because nobody has a clue how long it'll take to recover them. So from our perspective, we say to ourselves, if the customer does everything we want them to all the way through, then we should be the ones to cover any recovery costs because we told them to trust us, to allow us to protect them, and to trust us that we would bring them back if anything ever happened.
Wow. That's inside. That's something I got to think about that now. That's really good. Let's go to Andrea. We'll go with you, and then I want to go to Jim Ott from Enhanced Tech. So they've got a great deal going on down here in Southern California. Andrea, would you like to just go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello. I'm Andrea LeBlanc. I'm the Strategic Director over DoD and federal agencies here at DLT, which was acquired by Tech Data. My history is involved in DoD, making sense of the DoD, as well as federal agencies. I also worked for a senior Republican on the Hill, and my background before doing all this was in morning television. I enjoy it. DLT itself is an aggregator of the latest software brands and hardware for our partners to get them into the federal space. And I also directly, of course, with my background within federal agencies, work in getting that intelligence of what the buyer is looking at next buying, and then communicating that back to our partners and within our sales staff.
Interesting. That is really great. Well, now we know somebody in that industry, the DoD. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming again, and look forward to seeing you again. Next time too. But yeah, this is great. We'd like to maybe even for everybody here too. We were always like looking for good speakers and stuff like that. So if you're interested, we sure would love to schedule you in. That's great. Why don't we go to Jim Ott? Okay, we're going to go over to Ramon Silva.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Nice to meet you. In fact, this is my first meeting with the Sherman and the Crancer team. Super interested in working with anyone here in the Microsoft community. In fact, we're kind of like I would say our MO is very different from local partners, right? So essentially our role here is we offer nearshoring services for local partners. So if you guys have gaps from competencies and locally that you need to fill for projects, that's what we do. So we have all our team located out of Costa Rica. We have around 70 professionals over there, MCSEs, MCSAs, DBAs, everything, right? Around with Microsoft specifically, right? So please, I just put my, there you go, pura vida. Anyone that has gone to Costa Rica knows about that. So I just put my info there in the chat. Please feel free to contact me. And in fact, kind of, again, recap, we, kind of work with you guys together on local projects where you would have the same high quality talent, bilingual, and in fact, for maybe even half or third the price of what you would get local talent. Now with COVID around, everyone's working from home. So really, it's kind of spiked in a way where we have a lot of resources available for you guys. So again, Sherman and team, thank you so much for the invite, and apologies, I have to bolt to another meeting. So you guys have a great weekend, and happy Thanksgiving as well if I don't talk to you before that.
You too. All right. Thanks. Let's go with Alex Artiaga.
Hello, everyone. This is Alex with On the Max Inc. I'm not quite an MSP because what the services we provide for our clients is a complete technical integration solution. So really, we do a lot of on-site service. We do a lot of infrastructure upgrades and support, even though we do push that for our clients to bring all the problems because they don't have a lot of times they don't have a lot of the money needed to hire an IT guy because of their size. We provide all those services for them, but we also include their phones, their systems, their cameras, everything except fire alarms is the only thing we don't touch. So that's basically what we do.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing. Really appreciate it. And is Denny Cherry still there? Denny, are you there, bud?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Hey, Denny, how you doing, brother? It's been a little.
Pretty good. How you doing?
Good. Now, everyone, this is Denny Cherry. Denny, you got to introduce yourself, but one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Denny, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Thank you, Sherman. So I'm Denny Cherry. I'm the CEO for Denny Cherry and Associates Consulting. We're a small boutique consulting group based out of San Diego, California. We've got 6 consultants on staff, 5 of which are Microsoft MVPs. I'm also a Microsoft Certified Master in SQL Server. So we focus on pretty much all things data platform and all things cloud platform, as long as it doesn't involve writing .NET code. We can do all the infrastructure, all the security for both Azure and data platform environments, both on-prem and obviously in the cloud.
Thank you, Denny. Yeah, Denny, I helped manage Denny for a little bit. Just crushes it on the Azure side. Oh my gosh, really thought leader. So if you have any of those questions, talk with Denny. He can really help you out, especially if you have big Azure project that you may not feel like you have the expertise to do. I think I think Denny, you're open to all partnerships.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I threw my email address and our URL in the chat there.
Great, fantastic. Let's see, we have Chris Wing. Are you still there, bud? We'll go to Derek Gabriel.
Aloha. I'm still here, just lurking, just doing some work, and didn't have another appointment, so I left it on. How are we doing?
Good.
Hawaii's still beautiful. We're still busy. Things are crazy.
Awesome. So remember, for everybody here, Derek is our partner in Hawaii. So we want to make sure that we know him. He's really great over there. Derek, let me go ahead and go over to Eric Van Bibber real quick, if you don't mind.
Hey, Sherman, thanks. I meant to get it in earlier when more people were on. Maybe we bring it up again on the next one. But for anybody that's not paying attention to their SEO with regards to Bing, you should be. We just started, we reactivated our Bing AdWords stuff over there after a long hiatus. There's a huge shift of activity over to the Bing search platform because of the scrutiny of the government against Google. So, yeah, the Microsoft people are busy there. So if you're wanting to get their help, better do it now before they, push you off for 2 weeks or something because of the unavailability. So I just want to put that out there for anybody that's looking at SEO type stuff. There's a big shift of activity away from Google to Microsoft.
Awesome. And then Eric, we're going to have groupware on next week. We have Daryl Harrington. Would you like to be our second guest for next week? Or not next week, but the 2 weeks after?
Yeah, okay. Whenever.
Yeah,
whenever.
You've been talking about it for a while. I just want to make sure I talked to you and said, because we tried to schedule. Yeah, we are having some scheduling problems.
You have to be careful. I'm a bit of a fire hose, so yeah.
Love it. All right, everyone. Hey, thanks so much. Do we miss anybody here? I want to make sure that we give everybody a chance. All right. Hey, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for coming. We really do appreciate it. And if you know anybody, once again, we're trying to build this as a learning platform. So, send this invitation to other people that you know. We really appreciate it. And we'll raffle some more money off next week again, or 2 weeks from now. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody from the Crancer Group.
Happy Thanksgiving. Take care, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Have a great Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.